Imagine getting arrested right now for wearing a purple t-shirt. We're not talking about a fine. We're talking about the death penalty. Sounds absurd, right? Well, this was completely real in ancient Rome. Purple wasn't just a color. It was absolute power. It was money. It was blood. And today, I'm going to tell you why this color sparked wars, ruined fortunes, and became the most powerful symbol in history. Have you ever wondered why we associate certain colors with royalty? Gold, jewels, all that makes sense, but purple. Purple is different. This color has a story so dark and fascinating that once you know it, you'll never see it the same way again. Roman emperors literally killed for it. Entire economies revolved around its production. And the most incredible thing is that its origin is as disgusting as it is powerful. But before I reveal that repulsive secret, let me explain how a simple dye became the most exclusive and coveted color in the ancient world. Here's the brutal part. To produce just 30 grams of purple dye, you needed to sacrifice over 250,000 sea snails. Yes, you heard that right. 250,000 creatures to dye the edge of a toga. And not just any snail, but a specific species from the Mediterranean that produced a secretion so valuable it was literally worth more than gold. In fact, 1 kilogram of purple-dyed fabric cost the equivalent of what today would be over $30,000. Are you starting to understand why only emperors could wear it? Let's go to the beginning of this story. We're around the year 1200 before Christ, on the coasts of what is today Lebanon. The Phoenicians, those legendary merchants and sailors, discover something extraordinary. There's a snail, the Murex brandaris, that when you crush, it releases a yellowish liquid. But when that liquid is exposed to the sun, something magical happens. It transforms into a deep, intense, brilliant purple that doesn't fade with time or washing. This wasn't just any purple. It was a color that defied nature itself. While other dyes faded in weeks, Tyrian purple, as it became known, lasted decades without losing its intensity. It was practically indestructible. The Phoenicians quickly realized they had found liquid gold. They established secret factories in cities like Tyre and Sidon. The process was brutal, and the smell was unbearable. Imagine mountains of dead snails rotting under the Mediterranean sun. The factories stank so much they had to be located far from the cities. But the final result was worth every second of that olfactory horror. Now, let me explain exactly how this was done, because it's fascinating and repulsive in equal parts. First, you needed specialized fishermen who would dive or use traps to capture these specific snails. Not just any sea snail would do. It had to be the murex. Once captured came the grotesque part. You had to extract a tiny gland from the mollusk, just behind its head. That gland contained the precious secretion. Then, those glands were macerated for days in fermented urine. Yes, urine. The urine acted as a fixative and helped the dye penetrate the fabric fibers. The mixture was heated to specific temperatures for approximately 10 days, constantly stirred. The smell was so penetrating that workers developed chronic respiratory problems. After those 10 days of infernal cooking, you finally had your dye. But here's the incredible part. Depending on the time of sun exposure and concentration, you could obtain different shades, from an intense purple red to a deep violet blue. Master dyers guarded their exact techniques as state secrets. When Rome conquered the Mediterranean, it became obsessed with this color. The Romans had already seen Persian kings, Egyptian pharaohs, and Greek monarchs use purple as a symbol of power. And Rome wanted to surpass them all. Under the early Roman Republic, victorious generals could wear a toga with a purple stripe during their triumphal parades. It was the ultimate honor. But everything changed when the empire arrived. Julius Caesar was one of the first to understand the true symbolic power of purple. He began wearing completely purple togas on special occasions. When he was assassinated, among his most valuable possessions were his purple garments. His successor, Augustus, the first official emperor of Rome, went even further. Hey, if you're enjoying this story and want more fascinating content about history, power, and secrets of the ancient world, hit that subscribe button. I promise you that every video I upload is full of facts that will blow your mind. Now let's get back to Rome and its Sikh obsession with this color. Augustus did something revolutionary and terrifying. He created the sumptuary laws of purple. Basically, he established that only the emperor could wear the complete purple toga, the toga pecta. This garment was exclusively imperial. No one else in the entire Roman Empire could wear it. Senators could wear a toga with a thin purple stripe called the toga praetexta. Young men from noble families could wear something similar until they came of age. But deep purple, Tyrian purple in all its glory, was exclusive to the emperor. Violating this law wasn't a simple crime. It was treason, and treason was punished by death. There are historical records of wealthy merchants who were executed for daring to wear garments with too much purple. Even members of the imperial family who were anti-emperor had to be careful about how much purple they wore and in what context. The color became a political tool more powerful than any army. Control of purple also meant economic control. Rome monopolized dye production. Phoenician factories came under direct imperial administration. Emperors controlled who could buy the dye, how much it cost, and who could use it. This created a fascinating black market. There were smugglers who risked their lives to traffic low-quality purple dye or counterfeits made with other materials. Some used a mixture of plant dyes to try to imitate the color, but experts could always tell the difference. True purple had a luminosity that was impossible to replicate. The provinces that produced purple became strategically vital. Controlling cities like Tyre meant controlling the source of the empire's symbolic power. During wars and conflicts, these cities were defended with absolute ferocity, not only for their commercial value, but because losing access to purple weakened the very authority of the emperor. With the fall of the Western Roman Empire in the year 476, purple didn't disappear. The Byzantine Empire, direct heir to Rome in the east, continued the tradition with even more fanaticism if possible. Byzantine emperors were literally born in rooms lined with purple curtains. That's where the expression "born in the purple" comes from, which means being of legitimate royal blood. Byzantine purple became even more exclusive, more sacred, more untouchable. But here comes the ironic twist in the story. With the Crusades and the discovery of new trade routes, the secret of purple began to leak out. By the 15th century, when Constantinople fell in 1453, the monopoly had been definitively broken. And then, in the 19th century, an English chemist named William Henry Perkin accidentally discovered how to create synthetic purple. Suddenly, anyone could have that color. Purple was completely democratized. You might think this story is just a historical curiosity, but it's not. Purple teaches us something fundamental about power, perception, and social control. Roman emperors understood something that luxury brands understand perfectly today. Artificial exclusivity creates desire. It doesn't matter if it's a color, a handbag, or a car. If you convince society that something is exclusive, it automatically becomes valuable, even if its actual production cost is low. Purple also shows us how symbols can be more powerful than weapons. A Roman emperor could lose battles, face rebellions, have an economy in crisis, but as long as he wore purple, as long as he maintained that visual symbol of divine authority, his power remained intact in the collective mind. Even today, when we see British royalty, the Pope, or authority figures wearing specific colors in ceremonies, we're seeing echoes of that same strategy that Rome perfected 2,000 years ago. So the next time you see something purple, remember, you re-seeing the color of fallen empires, of thousands of sacrificed snails, of laws that meant life or death of a power so absolute that it even controlled what you could wear. Purple was the first truly global luxury item. It was the oil of antiquity, the definitive symbol that you had reached the absolute pinnacle of human power. And for over 2,000 years, it worked perfectly. If this story fascinated you as much as it did me researching it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss the next videos. I have more amazing stories prepared about colors, symbols, and secrets of the ancient world that changed history. Leave me in the comments what other color or historical symbol you want me to investigate. Gold? Red? Egyptian blue? You decide. See you in the next video. And remember, every color has a story, but none is as bloody, exclusive, and powerful as that of Imperial purple.